Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. إن الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين خصوصا على الخلفاء الراشدين المهديين ما بعد إن شاء الله تعالى we'll get started real soon. Just 1 second. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, so this evening, please like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Gog and Magog, what's going on, brother? If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Inshallah ta'ala, drop us a like, drop us a comment. And, I try to respond and get to the comments. I try to respond and get to the comments. I'm going to lay out the presentation first, inshallah ta'ala. And then I have some notes that I want to support the presentation with from the Sheikh's book, and we'll go from there. We'll deal with whatever comments we need to deal with, inshallah, ta'ala. So make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, follow follow or join the True Aqidah of the Salaf Facebook group. And we always keep this kind of content. We focus on Aqidah, fiqh, modern issues, and we also got a little love, a marriage and love podcast that we do on Saturdays. Alhamdulillah. So inshallah ta'ala, we'll get right into the book. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Oh, before we get into the book, we have to explain some things. So the term kalam. So kalam, first and foremost, you're going to see the Wahhabi / Salafi people. You're going to see them using this term in a derogatory manner. You might not even know what kalam is, and they're going to be calling you a kalami. Or if you come across some good book and you like the book and you want to learn the book, and your Salafi friend finds out you have the book, and oh, don't read that because he's a kalami. They're really good at their negative propaganda. Very, very, very good at it. Don't be fooled by the name calling. They will refer to such righteous scholars and awliya with bad names, and they will refer to you if you display anything that the Salafis don't believe in. They're going to immediately begin the name calling. Don't fall for the name calling. First and foremost, don't tongue wrestle with them. If they want to display disgusting character like that, allow them to do so. Even though I'm a sucker of it sometimes, because I'm a sucker for some smoke. I don't duck no work. That's just in my character. But that's a tactic of deflection that they are experts at. I'm willing to even say them. Let me give my disclaimer, my normal disclaimer for this type of content. This is not talking about the Salafi Minhaj as a whole. It's not talking about the people. It's adherents. It's talking about their leadership, their scholars, and the people that are propagating this bid'ah. There's bid'ah and there's kufr in the Salafi Minhaj beliefs. And there's kufr in their beliefs, and there is bid'ah in their mu'amalat, and their amal, their actions, and their deeds, and their dealings. There's bid'ah in it, so it's a bad situation all the way around the board. 99% of the people that I know, mainly African Americans that reverted to Islam from Christianity, they met the Salafi Minhaj first, and then they were tricked into believing that the Salafi Minhaj is Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah because they've never learned anything else outside of the Salafi Minhaj. They've never heard of, they sparingly heard of the four Imams, and they've been brainwashed when it comes to the three Imams of Aqidah. There is only three schools of Aqidah: is the Maturidiyya, the Asha'ira, and the Hanabila. There is no other schools. Um, any books on the Aqidah that you find in the time of the righteous companions, the Salaf and the Khalaf, you are only going to find writings from those three schools, books from those three schools. Everything else was bid'ah, and it was refuted by those three schools. So, disclaimer: we're refuting the scholars. 99% of the people that call themselves Salafi, they don't know they right from their left foot in Islam. They literally don't. They've never heard of scholars outside of Ibn Taymiyyah, Fawzan, Uthaymin, Bin Baz, Al-Albani, Ibn Abdul Wahhab, Rabi'a, Mukbil. They've never heard of any scholars outside of that. So when you say things to them like, yeah, the Salafi Minhaj didn't exist, then they give you this hadith. It just happened like an hour ago, as a matter of fact, on the page. So they'll give you that hadith and say the Prophet ﷺ said that I am the best salaf for you. Complete and total misinterpretation. And we already done a few videos on how they misinterpret and give false interpretations of classical texts. So we're not gonna go there, but they just gonna hit you with a bunch of memes and a bunch of slogans and a bunch of phrases, and then if you don't accept their memes and if you don't accept their slogans, then they make takfir on you. They either call you a mubtadi' or they make takfir on you. Oh yeah, I had a brother who doesn't even. He says that he was just on the post, the advertisement for this show, this class, and he was perplexed by the fact that I was saying, hey, we're teaching a class on how to defend the imam, our imam from the Salafis, and we went back and forth, and he was like, well, what scholars do you follow? I follow Ibn Taymiyyah, Ben Baz, and Ibn Taymiyyah. And I was like, and he was like, what do you think about them? And I said, well, Ibn Taymiyyah was a scholar in fiqh, and he had problems with his aqidah. And the other two were on bid'ah. Period. Simple as that. He doesn't even know the controversy that came with Ibn Taymiyyah. They've never been outside of the pamphlets that they propagate. So this is the normal case that you run into. They really don't know, like the people. So I feel sorry for the people, and I hope that they don't take offense to these classes. But the haq is the haq. We can't sugarcoat the haq for anybody and anything. You don't have a problem with me. You have a problem with the Muslims. You have the problem with the Muslim scholarship. It's coming out of my mouth. But it's, I'm, as we can see, I'm reading a book, and this book was compiled by one of our modern day shuyukh, Abu Jannah, Hafidhullah, and he's one of I've taken him as one of my teachers, and he's doing nothing but quoting to you nothing but Quran and Sunnah and the interpretation of the Quran and the Sunnah according to the Salaf. That's what they say that they believe. Well, that's what we're doing. So all of this is based on evidence. So going back to the introduction of this particular class, kalam. The word kalam is not a bad word. It's a good word. It's praiseworthy. The Salafis have succeeded in misinterpreting what kalam is. They themselves don't know what kalam is, first and foremost. Second, they misinterpreted some statements from the scholars of the Salaf in reference to kalam, like they do everything else. They pick and choose from the scholars of the Salaf something that might fit their doctrine, and then they, paint over it. They paint over the statement of the scholar from the Salaf with their doctrine, and then they tell you, if you don't accept this, then you're not following the Quran and Sunnah. Well, you claim you don't. They quote Shafi'i, they quote Abu Hanifa, they quote them when it seemingly agrees with them, but when it doesn't seemingly agrees with them, they say, "Oh, we only follow the scholars up until when they make a mistake." Well, if you deem that this scholar is, he's nobody's infallible, so let me get that out there because they like to throw that propaganda out there too. Abdul Kabir Muhammad al-Maliki believes that the scholars is infallible. He's a Shi'i. They ridiculous. They can't go point for point and be technical with you at all. All they're gonna do is call you a name and try to move the people to, put a terminology on you or something. And most people don't even know what the terminology is. But um 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 the word kalam, it means in its essence the interpretation of our deen. Let's just put it clear like that. I've tried to break these concepts down to the most conceivable forms. Most people that watch my content are not scholars, or not even and not students of knowledge. They're just normal everyday people, and they are being misguided by the Salafi Minhaj. The normal everyday people are under the attack of the Salafi Minhaj. You got people who never studied anything formally, arguing with actual students of knowledge about these things. So kalam is basically the interpretation of our deen. It's the proof and the evidences. It's the arguments based on proofs and evidences of Islam. For example, um, for example, there are troubling factors in Islam, and they're there for a reason. Uh, 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 Certain ayats in the Quran that are what we call mutashabihat, that are they're ambiguous. They're ambiguous. These ayats are ambiguous. So ayats like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being above the throne. Um, um, the Salafi people have fallen into, well, not the Salafi people, the Salafi doctrine tells, excuse me, I misspoke. I shouldn't have said that. The Salafi doctrine tells people uh, that this ayah is literal, that Allah is actually above his throne. But all of the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, it says the opposite. All of them. They say the opposite. Um, Kalam helps us work out these difficult ideas. Kalam gets very deep. And it's a very deep and beautiful science that we have within Islam. But going into Kalam, we use Kalam to work out the interpretation of difficult concepts to understand in Islam, like Allah being above His throne. The problem with that is our scholars have explained to us and taught us that Allah is not like anything. Now we're getting ready to do Kalam. Allah is not like anything. So there has always been, not always, but there has existed in the times before, deviant groups that have said this, that Allah is actually sitting on his throne. He's actually sitting. There was a group called the Karamiya, and the Salafiyya today share that belief of the Karamiya, and the Karamiya were refuted by everybody, by all of the scholars in their time, and we talked about that last week. So it's not a smart thing to embrace beliefs that were tagged deviant in the time of the Salaf. You say that you're a Salafi and you follow the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salaf, but when you go back and look at the material that came out of the time period of the Salaf, you're not following the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salaf. You're following the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Mu'tazila, the Khawarij, and the Karramiyya. That's their belief system comes from deviant sects. So when you look at Ahlul Sunnah, the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah, they did not believe what the modern day Salafi people believe. You just have to see it for yourself. You have to read from their sources. You can't take the word of those group of people we mentioned before and say that that is Islam and that is the history of Islamic knowledge. Them people just came a couple hundred years ago. We're going back a couple thousand years to the actual time period, the blessed time period that the Prophet Muhammad SAW spoke of. We're going back to that. So those groups were deviant in the time of the Salaf, and the scholars of all time, the greatest scholars, Imam Ahmad, Bukhari, Ibn Kulab, Bayhaqi, Ishaq ibn Rahway, all of them are known for refuting these deviant beliefs, and they use Kalam to do so. We're gonna get into that. So when those deviant groups sprang or sprouted and started to say things like this, all of our scholars came out and rained down on top of them, and they had to use what we call kalam. The best way to give it a term in English is the scholars translate it as theology. It's theology, the study of God, the study of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you got a group of people saying that Allah sat on his kursi, on his throne, or he is situated above his throne, then the scholars came out and was like, oh, okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that he's everywhere with the believers. So how can he be on his throne and everywhere with the believers at the same time? Doesn't make sense. That's Kalam. But the Salafis don't like Kalam because it goes against their belief system. Because they actually believe that Allah is above his throne. So the science of Kalam exposes the weaknesses of their belief. So they want to propagate against it in order for them to not be exposed for their deviancy. And us as Muslims, we should be sincere. If you are doing something wrong and somebody pointed out to you, then you should be embracing that. You shouldn't be arguing it, and you for doggone sure shouldn't be calling them, that person or these people bad names. You should thank these people that they showing you this. So that's what Kalam is. Kalam is dealing with and we have to deal with the fact that the Salafis always say, where was Kalam in the time of the Sahaba? The Kalam was there in the time of the Salaf. So if any Salafi says that Kalam was not there in the time of the Salaf, they've never studied anything before. They've only read pamphlets from Ben Baz, Uthaymin, Fawzan, and the like. They've never went past them dudes and past Ibn Taymiyyah and to the time of the Salaf. They've never done it. And if they have, they are a liar. They are insincere, and they're covering up the truth from themselves and from the people because it's all there. And we're going to look at some of it today. So we got to understand that the Sahaba sparingly used Kalam. They had the understanding, but sparingly they used it because, number one, they didn't have to. It was already understood because they had the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with them. It was firm in their understanding that Allah Ta'ala was not like in his creation. I sit down on chairs. I'm sitting on a chair. But this chair here that I'm sitting on is my throne in my house. This is my chair. I yell at my wife for sitting in it all the time, and she drags it all over the house, doing laundry in it and folding clothes and all types of stuff with my chair. The kids get in it and play on it and spin around on it in circles. They done broke my handle on my chair. This is my throne in my house. I sit on it. I use it. I occupy it as space. Allah Ta'ala is not like me. Allah Ta'ala is not like you. Allah Ta'ala is not befitting. He sits in a befitting manner. That's illogical. Now we're going to use Ilmul-Kalaam. We're going to use some Ilmul-Kalaam, but to give y'all a snippet of what Ilmul-Kalaam is. I already have. Y'all just don't even know it, and everybody agrees with it. Those videos about the Sanusi Aqidas, they going viral. Those numbers are going up more and more and more and more and more. Check out the Belief of the Muslim series on. You can go back and view the whole series on YouTube. I think it was 10 parts, and I went through the Ash'ari Aqida book, Sanusi, the Sukra. And so go back and watch that. The whole book is Kalam. Well, not the whole book, but the vast majority of it is Kalam. People loved it. People like it. I never even said the word Kalam. I don't think even teaching in a lesson. People didn't even know. It matched naturally with what they think and what they believe inside of their hearts. Simple stuff just like how could Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be sitting on his throne when Allah, the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam said to us in a sound hadith, something to the effect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was and there was nothing. The Prophet ﷺ said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was and there was nothing. So this chair or a throne is a thing, and it's a thing that all things occupy space and time. All things. All of creation. So how could Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had been how could he sit on something when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala existed before that thing even ever existed, before time and space? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has always been. He's pre-eternal. He's pre-eternal. So what was did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at one point in time not have a throne? Did he not have a kursi? Did he need to make a kursi? Did he need to make a throne? Is this what we're saying? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala needed to do something? That our Lord that is independent, and in that ayah, Allah Ta'ala tells us in that ayah that Allah Ta'ala needs nothing. He neither slumbers nor sleeps. That means he needs nothing. It means he's self-reliant. He's independent. Are we saying that our Lord is dependent on time and space in order for him to sit down in a manner that befits him? That's illogical. That's illogical. Time and space was not here, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was here. So that's a snippet of Kalam, and it might not be the best version of Kalam. I'm still a baby in the Ilmul-Kalaam, but that's just a logical belief, and it's based off the Sunnah. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was, and there was nothing else. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that. So the understanding that we get from that hadith is that it applies to that. We can use that hadith as evidence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't sit. He's not in the sky. He's not in the ocean, so on and so forth. Those things at one point in time didn't exist. It was time. Those things didn't exist. So how could Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be inside of something that at one point in time did not exist? This makes no sense. Allah ta'ala did not ask us not to use our aql. Allah ta'ala asked us to use our aql. Al-aql. He asked us to do it, and he ridiculed us for not doing it. Afala ta'qilun. That comes so many times in the Quran. We said it last week. It's about 40 times in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us, he challenged us, do you not use your common sense? And we're using our good common sense. So that right there is, and I'm pretty sure that that's understandable. Everybody knows that. I mean, that's simple stuff. How could Allah Subhanahu wa Taala be? That's just like saying, whenever let's for example, I don't know when the first car was created, but that's like saying that I was driving the first car before the first car even existed. That's illogical. So y'all mean to tell me that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in the heavens or over the throne, wherever you say, wherever they're putting Allah in a place, but Allah created this stuff at one point in time, it didn't exist, and Allah was here. What was Allah doing before that? Before he was inside of his creation? Makes no sense. So if creation didn't exist at one point in time, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was existent before creation, he was existent, he was in existence before existence was created, before our existence was created, the sky, the heavens, the things that Allah Ta'ala told us about in the Quran. You mean to tell me um, that means that at one point in time Allah Ta'ala couldn't have existed because there had to be an outside influence to make existence exist. Something had to bring existence into existence. Some more kalam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, kun fayakun, be and it was. So this is Quran. We're using Quran for kalam or theology. We're using the Quran. This is based on the Quran. It's based on the Sunnah. It's not based on Greek philosophy like the Salafis like to say. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said be, he was talking about existence. He was talking about all of creation. That means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not of creation. Creation had not existed at one point in time. There had to be something to put creation into existence. There had to be a force that did that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was that force. So it's not proper to say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inside of his creation, which is the skies and the universe and the galaxies and all of that. This is creation. Allah ta'ala is not in that. It makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. So uh let me check the comments and make sure that y'all following, because I don't want to use this part of the book is talking about kalam, and this part of the book is assuming that we are students of knowledge to some degree. I know most people don't know what kalam is, so I wanted to give an explanation of what kalam is. I see somebody's having trouble sharing. It's always like that. If that little arrow is not down at the bottom of the video, you can click out of the video and it should give you the share button and then you can share it. I know I've had that problem before. Yeah, Allah, whoever said that I can't see it, sorry. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a he or a she. I wonder if this person knows why we refer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as he. I'm going to test you. Do you know why? And do you know why in Islam and in life we refer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as he? I kind of went Abdullah ibn Islam. I kind of just I don't know if you just popped in, but their argument, I kind of touched on it already. Their argument against Kalam is that it was never done by the Sahaba. And I don't know if you just popped in or not, but the Sahaba didn't have a need for Kalam, even though the meanings of Kalam was already there and it was already implied, and we see snippets of Kalam and figurative interpretation. They go hand in hand. For example, Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, there's a famous narration Um, and I found the narration in the Hanafi school, and the narration came through Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. So these are big names, Ali and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. If I'm not mistaken, Ali did kalam, and this is embedded within the Hanafi madhab. If for some reason the Salafi Wahhabi people believe that they could read selected quotes from their scholars and think that they know the madhab, which is foolish. They don't at all. Um, People spend decades learning just one madhab and the details. But there's a narration in the Hanafi school from Ali, and somebody came and asked Ali, "What is qadr? What is qadr? Predestination?" And Ali did kalam. Ali, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he asked that man, he said, "Lift up your left leg." The man lifted up his left leg. Then he said, "Now lift up your right leg." He said, "I can't." He said, "That's what qadr is." So I hope y'all get that. I hope that didn't go over y'all kufis and y'all's hijabs. But Ali did Ali did kalam. There are so many instances of this throughout the literature within the madhahib, but you have to be a student of one of the madhabs in order for you to understand. Oh, and for people who don't know, qadr is predestination. Um, it's predestination. Uh, so that's how he explained predestination. I don't think that I have to explain that athar from Imam Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Divine Fortune, Maryam, Amina, Jamil, my cybersecurity. Assalamu alaikum, brother. So, can I personify Allah? He's nothing like human. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so we're gonna get into this part of the presentation, and we're gonna get into the arguments for and against. Ahmad Suyuti, Sheikh, Assalamu alaikum. So glad for tonight's live. Please let us know if there's a P.O. box or something, so that if there are any books or things that can help you, we can send them to get reward for assisting the knowledge. I'm gonna get with you on that one, Ahmad. Ahmad Suyuti. I'm gonna send you my address. I mean, I most definitely can use some authentic material. Okay, so they do know. They do know. So the word huwa, we say he. In Arabic, huwa and hiya, those pronouns can be applied to things, not just male and female. They can be applied to things as well. So, uh, like in the Quran, when it says, Huwa Allahu khaliqul, stuff like that. Huwa Allahu khaliqul. Allah is the creator. It's not really saying that Allah is a man. It's, it's a proper sentence. So good. You knew the answer. Good job. Whoever you are, mystery Facebook user. Good job. Okay, let's get into this part of the book, inshallah ta'ala. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. What the scholars meant by disparaging kalam. So this is called kalamul madmoon. One second, let me make sure I'm in the right part of the book. Yeah, that's the part. We're in the right part. Okay, so it's going to go into an explanation. What if he, as Salafi, says that your arguments are actually Aristotelian philosophy and the notorious heretical kalam? many Salafis / Wahhabis will attempt to thwart your rational argumentation by telling you that what you are doing is called kalam and that the scholars disparage kalam. They say the scholars of old referred to the book and the Sunnah and went no further. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the companions radiallahu ta'ala anhum never used it. Therefore, accept what came in the book and the Sunnah and do not try to rationalize what they did not. So there's the answer. Abdullah ibn Salam, there's the answer. That is the Salafi claim. Going further, Bismillah. The brief answer is that those early scholars, turn this off. One second. This is important. Oh shoot. He ain't talking. That was okay. Sorry, that was a business partner. Associate, not partner. Okay, sorry. Bismillah. The belief the brief answer is that those early scholars who did not use Kalam to argue did not do so because of how few the misguided people were. We spoke about that. It was enough to refer to the book and the Sunnah. However, later the misguidance spread and the people of deviance claimed that the people of truth were using weak narrations and ambiguous verses with explanations that do not agree with the intellect. So the scholars refuted them with their own standard intellectual arguments. However, the Sunnis' argumentation was derived from the book and the Sunnah, as will be demonstrated. So someone once said to Abu Hanifa, so we discussed that as well, that there was the iman of the Sahaba was strong at first, not at first, all the time. It was strong, and not that much bid'ah was in their time. Maybe in the time of the at the end of the time of the Salaf and at the beginning of the time of the Khalaf is when a lot of bid'ah started to come. Bid'ah and kufr started to come, and that's where we start to see all of the books of Aqidah and the refutations coming out. So they go back to there. For example, someone said to Abu Hanifa rahimahumullah, why do you talk with the knowledge of Kalam and the companions did not talk with it? He said, Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayh, their example is like people who do not have their presence, those who fight them. So they did not need to wield their weapons. And our example is like those who have among them those who fight them. So they had to wield their weapons. This means that they had the tools and the means, they had the same belief system, but they did not have to use such argumentation that often. They did not use it occasionally, and they did use it occasionally, excuse me. And the references for that are not appropriate for this summarized refutation. So we kind of went all over that. So let's just get straight into the argument. So a Salafi would say to you, did not Imam Shafi'i, and just on YouTube, Gog and Magog, and some guy, and he came and all these Salafis got these pamphlets and they got these slogans. And instead of memorizing Quran and Hadith and Usul Hadith and Usul Fiqh, they memorized these pamphlets on how to make people from Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah deviants. So he was rattling on and on and on YouTube. I forget what his name, Abu Fadl, that was his name. Abu Fadl on YouTube. He going on and on and on and on and on. And I feel sorry for the fella because he doesn't know any better. It shows in his conversation he doesn't know any better. Anybody that knows any better wouldn't have even let themselves and wouldn't embarrass themselves by saying that, trying to use this as evidence against Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah for using Kalam. So the Salafis would say, did not Shafi'i say, for the slave to meet the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every sin but shirk is better than to meet his judgment with Kalam. So basically, they use this statement of Imam Shafi'i to say as evidence that Imam Shafi'i did not. He condemned Kalam, and nobody's bigger and greater than Imam Shafi'i. I asked the brother Abu Fadl on YouTube. I asked him. I said, brother, are you Shafi'i? How you gonna go telling me about the Shafi'i school first and foremost, and you not even Shafi'i? How you gonna go telling me about the authority of Imam Shafi'i, but you don't follow Imam Shafi'i? You claim to be a Salafi. Well, why aren't you claiming to be a Shafi'i? Huh? Why you? That's what, like I said in the beginning of the class, they will pick and choose what they take from the Salaf, what they need in order to prove their point in their doctrine. And most people don't know this stuff, so they trick everybody. And then everybody's in the comments like, wow, that brother is really bringing some proof. Here's the link with what Imam Shafi'i said. So the answer to this is you can't quote a school, you can't quote a scholar, you can't quote the madhab if you're not in it or if you haven't learned from it. The people he's quoting, it was the links he was putting up was like from Salafi sites like Islam Q&A and some other site that he put up. Those people aren't Shafi'is. They don't follow the Shafi'i madhab. They don't know the intricate details of the Shafi'i madhab. If they did, they would know what I'm getting ready to tell you about this statement of Imam Shafi'i. First and foremost, what you got to understand. Going further, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This statement of Shafi'i is clarified by other specific texts, such as that he said, for the slave to be resurrected for the day of judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, having every sin except shirk, is better than to meet him with any hint of these deviant beliefs. So that's a variation of this same statement, which we see often in narrations, in athar and hadiths. So if they were in the Shafi'i school or they were acquainted with other students of knowledge in the Shafi'i school or shuyukh from the Shafi'i school, they would be able to clear this stuff up for them, not cherry picking stuff that make it look like it's your belief or this is the belief of Nasuma. So that offsets the using that first narration as evidence against against the Ilmul-Kalaam. Going further, this is why Al-Bayhaqi said in Munaqib al-Shafi'i. I don't think I have to explain to y'all who Imam Bayhaqi is. I don't think I have to, but I'm just gonna say this for shorts. None of the Salafi scholars is bigger than Bayhaqi. None of them. Al-Albani is couldn't carry the shoes of Bayhaqi. Fawzan could not carry the shoes of Bayhaqi. Ibn Baz couldn't sit in the classes of Bayhaqi. Ibn Abdul Wahab, he couldn't clean the bathroom of Imam Bayhaqi. These people who they refer to as scholars are ants. They're ants on a piece of a crumb to people like Imam Bayhaqi and Imam Shafi'i. So Imam Bayhaqi, this is what he said in reference to that statement. By this talk, Shafi'i, rahmatullah alayhi, only meant about a guy named Hafs. There was a guy named Hafs, and his likes, his followers, among the people of deviancy, heresy. This is what he meant in all that was conveyed about him, about dispraising the Kalam and its people, except that some narrators generalized and some specified. In the specification of those who specified, there is evidence of his intent. So not only do we have, now we're talking about evidence here. Salafi's always hooping and hollering about evidence. We got evidence, y'all. This is as clear as day. And it's as clear as day. I don't know what to tell you. So first evidence against that so-called condemnation of Kalam, Ilmul-Kalaam by Imam Shafi'i, is put off, it's offset by another narration from Imam Shafi'i, and that one came from the Tabyin from Ibn Asakir, another great hadith scholar that none of the Salafi scholars ever can compare to, ever. So we got two major hadith scholars, two prominent hadith scholars that came before Ibn Taymiyyah, they came before Bin Baz, they came before Fawzan, before Madkhal. They were actually the students to the Salaf. They were the students of the Salaf. So we have them clarifying that Shafi'i was not condemning Ilmul-Kalaam. And then, so Bayhaqi is explaining that uh, uh, the kalam, there's Ilmul-Kalaam and then there's Kalam al-Madmum. Kalam al-Madmum is the kalam of the atheists. It's the kalam of the people of bid'ah. It's the kalam like the Mu'tazila. Their attribute was that they believed that the Quran was created. This was their attribute. So the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah came out against them. They came out against them, and they used kalam doing so. And the Mu'tazila and their like and the deviant sects, they used to use kalam. They used the Quran and the Sunnah in an improper way to prove their points. So what do when the Mu'tazila minded person comes to the weak-minded Muslim or the uneducated Muslim with their beautiful explanations of their deviancy? Just like Bin Baz, Fawzan, Uthaymin, they know how to beautify their bid'ah. They make it beautiful. They got the whole sheikh dress. They dress like the prophet. Seems like they of the makhluk of the prophet. It seems like they following every single way. They got the mannerism. They speak. As if they have so much wisdom. They use the fingers and they got all the mannerisms that will convince you. And all of their tulabul ilm do the same thing. Have this whole, me and the guys, we joke about it all the time. These guys that have this fake sheikh swag. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Don't act like y'all don't know what I'm talking about. When you find a Salafi, tulabul ilm, and he's like so holy, he's like, yeah, I need Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu. He's like real zealous and he's speaking as if he's never committed a sin in his life and he's never done anything wrong ever in his life, and everybody else is just filth, and he condemning you for the filth that you indulge in. Y'all know what I'm talking about. all of they scholars are like that. All the ones I didn't see. Y'all show me one that ain't. But getting back on track. So we got two pieces of evidence from two leaders, authorities in the Shafi'i madhab. So I don't think that the people from the Salafi minhaj, which none of them are Shafi'i masters, Ibn Asakir and Bayhaqi, rahmatullah alayhima, they are both masters of the madhab. Both of them had the nickname Hafidul Madhab. Al-Hafid. Those are like scholarly titles, which means they learned just about everything there is to learn when it comes to Islamic curriculum. Both of them had those nicknames. Nobody ever called Bin Baz Al-Hafid. Nobody, not the scholars, nobody called Al-Albani Al-Hafid. Nobody even called Ibn Taymiyyah Al-Hafid. Maybe like his followers at the time. Ibn Taymiyyah is the best that they have. But maybe at the scholars of the time, not the scholars, the Tulab al-Ilm of the time, maybe used to say that. They used to say things like that. But the scholars, his contemporaries, none of them referred to them like that. And none of them were Shafi'i scholars. So they didn't know the intricate details of the Shafi'i school. So you can't take one statement and be like, "Oh, look, this is the definitive position. Yeah, This is haram, and Shafi'i said it. Y'all know how they be. That's not how this works. There are various opinions within the madhahib, and then it's even a skill to look at the variant opinions in the madhahib and be able to successfully apply them to different situations. That's a skill. That's a divine skill that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meets out to people. Going further. Bismillah. Actually, Shafi'i debated on more than one occasion. Ishaq said, my father said to me, one day a Shafi'i was talking to one of the scholars, and he was very tight on him, precise. He sought evidence from him and put him in a corner. I said to him, "Oh, Abu Abdullah, this is for the people of Kalam, not for the people of Halal and Haram." As Shafi'i said, we have mastered that, the Kalam, before we mastered this. So now we got another statement from another authority in the Shafi'i madhab, saying that Imam Shafi'i, rahmatullah alayh, himself used to do kalam. He himself. So we have a third piece of evidence against the Salafi claims. This is why I tell you, I gotta watch this stuff, and you gotta be. This is why I make these videos, to expose the bid'ah. And I'm talking about the brother on the YouTube, Abu Fadl. He was going. He was putting so many comments up there. He was like, "Oh, this brother is wrong." I hadn't even got to this part of the book yet. He just seen when Kalam was brought up the last class, and we were talking about figurative interpretation and the evidence for it, and the evidence against the Salafi in adherence to figurative interpretation, and it just came up, and he just started machine gunning. We had not even got to this part yet, to the evidence. He just jumped straight to the gun, boom, and shot it all off, not knowing that all this evidence is in the Shafi'i madhab against him. And these are quotes from, it ain't that hard to find. These are quotes from two very famous books in the Shafi'i madhab. And if you're a Maliki or a Shafi'i, you know these books. You know these books. Ibn Asakir's book, Tabyin Kadhibul Muftari, was a book defending the Shafi'i madhab from all of the deviants and all of the false claims about the Shafi'i madhab, as far as kalam, certain fiqh positions, aqidah. Certain deviant groups are putting out propaganda, just like the Salafis are doing today, that the Shafi'is at the time had deviant aqidah beliefs and so on and so forth. So Ibn Asakir took it upon himself to write a book dispelling all of that. And clicked off my camera. Click my stuff off my camera. 1 second. I mean, off my computer. Okay, all right. And the Manaqib Imam Shafi'i, and the Manaqib of Imam Shafi'i, very famous book within the madhab. The people who are close, the Malikis and the Shafi'is, we're very close. Everybody knows these books, and most of the works on hadith, aqidah, usul al-fiqh, usul al-hadith, most of the, I would say 90% of all of the works of these sciences, which are the very bones that make up Islam, were written by Malikis and Shafi'is. Literally. So the Salafis are the slaves to the Malikis and Shafi'is. When they call themselves the Ahlul Hadith and all that stuff, and we're the Atharis and all of that, the Malikis and the Shafi'is were the first students. I wouldn't say the first, but they coined the Athari mentality. They coined it. Imam Abu Hanifa, he was very famous for it, but he was more famous for his kalam, I would say. Because at that time, Abu Hanifa was up against a lot of deviancy in Kufa where he was at. So he had to always be philosophizing the deen, breaking things down to the people. To do tafweed was not enough. To say that Allah is not on the throne is not enough. It wasn't enough. We was dealing with people that came with all types of foreign ideas, and they needed a little bit more than that. But when that stuff crept into the Arab world, the people who defended Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah were the Malikis and the Shafi'is. The Hanabila, they contributed to it because they came a lot later. They contributed to it greatly. But the actual people who were there on the scene, boots on the ground, face to face, nose to nose with all of the innovators were the Malikis and the Shafi'iyah. So these kind of books are like very popular. So if you were associated at all with Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, you'd be associated with this knowledge. You can find this stuff on a simple Google search. It ain't even so sophisticated. So, but you have to be sincere. Another statement, Al-Muzani, another big Shafi'i. Al-Muzani said, a debate took place between a man and me. He asked me about something as if it were about to make me doubt about my religion. I went to Shafi'i and I said to him, this is what happened. Shafi'i said to me, where are you? I said, I am in the masjid. He said to me, you are like in the Sea of Taran. While its waves are smacking you around. This is a question of the atheists. And the answer for it is this and that. For the slave to be inflicted with every harm that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created is better for him than to be injected with arguing for deviant beliefs. So here's another narration. This is a fourth evidence against the Salafi Minhaj, their belief that Kalam is wrong. And then they use Imam Shafi'i's statement against the Ilmul-Kalaam, and their statement and their evidence backfired on them, as it does always. As it does always. So here, we can see this is what the scholars derive from this version of that situation. Imam Shafi'i told Muzani, he told him the answer in the Kalam debate. So that means that if it was haram and it was Greek philosophy, why would Imam Shafi'i know it? And then he also explained here, he said to be inflicted with arguing for deviant beliefs. He was talking about the people that Muzani was going against, the Kalam al-Mazmun. He wasn't talking about the praiseworthy Kalam, Ilmul-Kalaam. He wasn't talking about that. He was talking about the deviants and the way that the deviants use Kalam. He was talking about that. He wasn't talking about us. But you wouldn't know that if you're not reading, if you're not following the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Imam Shafi'i is the leader of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The Salafi people, are outside of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So they're not privy to this knowledge. They're not privy to this type of knowledge. This is stuff that our scholars in Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah learn very early in their life, and when it becomes a problem, all you got to do is ask one of the imams, and they be like, "Oh yeah, that's this. Oh yeah, that's right here, and that's right here." These people never heard of it before. Mind you, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah are the Hanafis, the Malikis, the Shafi'is, and the Hanbalis in fiqh and Aqidah. And as far as Aqidah in the school, it is the Maturidiyya, the Ash'ariyah, and the Hanabila. That's it. Outside of that, it's not Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. It's deviancy. So that's the end of today's presentation. I had a couple of notes. I want people to understand that kalam is an usul. That is its classification. So to say that it's a unwise argument for the Salafis to say, "Oh, the Prophet didn't do it. The Prophet didn't do it. The Sahaba didn't do it." Okay, then why do the Salafis believe in usulul hadith? There was no such term and no such thing in the time of the Sahaba and the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He didn't do that either. The Prophet ﷺ never said this hadith is sound, this hadith is weak, this hadith is hasan, this hadith is munqati', this hadith is mudallal. The Prophet ﷺ never said that. None of the Sahaba never said that. Never. So it's a false argument. It's usul. Usul is, you will only learn about usul if you belong to Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. You will only learn from it like that. The usul is the methodology on how you arrive to your understanding. And that's something that is not in a text. It's not a hadith. It's not a statement of a sahabi. That usul is passed down from heart to heart, from scholar to student. We like to call this our system of ijazat, the licenses to teach. You have to be connected to the people of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. If you're not, you're going to make mistakes, obvious mistakes like the Salafis do. And they badly, listen, everybody that's watching this, do not go to the Quran and Sunnah on your own. Do not think that you're a person that can follow Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salaf, and then you open up Bukhari, and then you go and say, "Oh, I got the hadith right here." Bukhari was not written for you. Bukhari was written for scholars and students of knowledge. The average everyday person, basically, we're going to say this: the average everyday person that who hasn't been taught Bukhari or any hadith or whatever, you're not permitted to go and open up Bukhari or any other hadith book and take that hadith and be like, okay, this is what Islam is. This is the decision. This is what we have to do. You're not permitted to do that. You have to learn the usul. You have to learn the way of the methodology of the scholars. And there was a way of teaching. The scholars, like somebody asked Imam Malik, let me look at it. Somebody asked Imam Malik, like, I don't know if they were like troubling him or questioning, they were doubting him or whatnot. One second. Somebody asked Imam Malik, he's giving all these fatwas and he's so knowledgeable, and everybody's like, how? How is he, what is his method? Because at the time there was no Maliki school. They had Imam Malik himself, and he was teaching according to his wisdom and his knowledge and his greatness, rahmatullah alayh. But when us, we say, okay, according to Maliki, this, according to Shafi'i, that, according to Ahmad, that, according to Abu Hanifa, this. But what was their methodology? How did they arrive? Like, for example, we have a principle that we would use to make decisions. Now y'all getting into the deep stuff. We have a principle, one principle that we use to make decisions, and it's called the A'mal of Ahlul Medina, the actions of the people of Medina in Malik's time and before, and maybe shortly after. We use the way of the people of Medina as evidence because it's a hadith concept. Certain hadith you cannot reject because so many people or so many Sahaba witnessed The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say something. So many companions reported this exact same because there's so many of them. It's not logical that that'd be a lie. Imam Malik also applied this logic to the way of the people of Medina. And so there's a sound hadith that says that you should fold your arms in prayer, that we have been ordered to fold our arms in prayer. But Imam Malik and the Malikis, we don't fold our arms in prayer. We hold our arms to the side in prayer. And when Imam Malik was asked about this, it was wrong. I mean, he was the Salafis are wrong about what they say about this because they're not in the Maliki school. They're outside of the Maliki school, so they don't know what the Malikis say about this position. They made their own presumption because they're not connected to Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Y'all walk with me. Walk with me. I know I'm getting into some deep, complicated stuff, but the situation is like that. What Imam Malik said is, I never heard of that before. Not never heard it. He said never saw it. Excuse me. He said he never saw it. He never saw nobody folding their arms. Now, mind you, we're talking about a man that was born and raised in the Sina, Medina to Munawwara, the city of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He born and raised in the blessed time of the Salaf. He said he never seen it before. He never seen it. So he used all these tens and thousands. Mind you, he was there with the most knowledgeable scholars on earth. Rabi'a, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, Ar-Ra'i. These are like scholars that you can't even imagine. He was there with them. He never even seen them do it. So this is a principle that we use. It's an usul. Prophet Islam didn't say that. He didn't say that. He indicated to it. He insinuated it in so many different hadith, but he didn't say that. But going back to the beginning of my point, somebody asked Malik, they're like, where you get your usul from? Like, where are you getting this? How are you coming to these? How are you making these rulings? And he gave him a sanad. His sanad was Abdurrahman, Rabi'a al-Ra'i, and Sa'id ibn Musayyib. You had to be there. His heart was connected to those different scholars. That's his chain for usul. I dare somebody to go against that. Did you hear them names? Google those names. Abdurrahman, Rabi'a, al-Ra'i, and Sa'id ibn Musayyib. Google those names. Go and find out who those names were. Go and find out who those people were. The biggest names you can ever imagine. You mean that if those people were upon bid'ah, there is no Islam. There is no Islam. All the Islam that we all practice is null and void if those people are upon bid'ah, as the Salafiyah like to say to anybody that doesn't agree with Salafiyah. These were tabi'een. These were tabi'een and tabi'een. The three golden blessed generations that they always hooping and hollering about. Malik sat with them that's his sanad. He sat with two of them and learned it from there. And they learned it. And Sa'id ibn Musayyib, his teachers were the Sahaba. His teachers were the Sahaba. This is usul. This is this methodology. We learn about these principles. You use the Quran, not the Quran. You use the Sunnah, not the Sunnah. What did the scholars say? This is like what Kalam is. So Kalam is not a text. Well, it's not a hadith. They're mixing usul and hadith together, which is silly. Usul is usul and hadith is hadith. Like the methodology on how you come to a particular decision. So if Ilmul-Kalaam is haram, then so is usul hadith, and so is usul fiqh. What was the methodology that Malik used for his fiqh? What was the methodology, the usul that Shafi'i used for his fiqh? What was the methodology, the usul that Ahmad used for his fiqh? And all of them none of them would say nothing bad about any of those people because that would just completely delegitimize their intelligence altogether and nobody will ever listen to them. So they will always say something good about the four imams, and but then but this is what he really meant. According to who? We're showing you with proof here that the people within those schools, the students who became scholars of their madhab, their school, say the opposite of what the Salafis say. They say the complete opposite. I had a couple other points that I wanted to follow up with, and I'm going to forego them. I think we made our point. I think we made our point with evidence, like they always say. Assalamu alaikum, Darnett, Leo Queen, Nicholson. How can a Muslim go to sleep hating another believer? Yeah, shouldn't be able to sleep. The truth is as clear as a sunny day. Falsehood is deep and dark as the night. Yeah, about falsehood. Jamil Hassan. Ibn Abbas said that hypocrisy is so hard. No, arrogance. He said that arrogance is so hard to find. It's like trying to look for a black ant creeping up the side of a mountain in the middle of the night. That's how dangerous arrogance can be. Okay, I don't see any questions or comments. Okay, so we did good. We're getting through this. Let me make sure on the other pages there aren't any comments. Oh, what just happened? Sister Maryam said, how can I get a hold of this book to be able to review? I'll send it to you. Inshallah ta'ala. I will send it to you, Maryam, Sister Maryam. I have a chat. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can, because there's a chat for this, and I pinned it in that chat. Let me see if I can find it and add you to the chat. One second, bear with me. Okay. All right. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Let me see if I can add you to this chat. Okay. I can't figure out how to do it now. I'm trying to tag your name, Murder Young. I don't think you might not be. Okay, I'm gonna have to add you because I don't see you in the group actively. So, Mariam Mina, I will add you to the chat for this particular class, and the book is pinned. The book is pinned in the chat, inshallah ta'ala. And if anybody else wants to get the book for themselves, I can inshallah ta'ala send me a message and I can add you all to the chat, or maybe I'll just put the chat link When I hang this up, I'm gonna put this chat link in the comments, and anybody that wants to get into the chat, you want to ask questions or whatever, inshallah ta'ala, you can do it. You can do it there. Wednesday, inshallah, we'll be starting a new book, The Creed of Imam Bey Haki. Very good book. This is Ash'ari Aqidah. We're going to be learning some more. It's a big book. It's going to take us a long time, and there's some very complex concepts in there that we're going to get all the way into, inshallah. So Wednesday, be there 8 o'clock. We're going to be learning the belief of the Muslims. We're gonna be talking about everything from we're gonna be talking about everything as far as belief. Well, most everything as far as belief for the Muslims, inshallah ta'ala. And Friday we have Friday night fiqh. We are talking about haid, female menstruation, the fiqh, the law about female menstruation, what to do, what not to do, so on and so forth. And then Saturday, we will be back with another Love Talks Live, our little podcast where we have a little bit of fun and we try to bring an Islamic spin to current events going on in the world, inshallah ta'ala. So y'all stay tuned for that. Mariam Amina, I don't know if you in the group or not. It's the True Aki. I don't know where you watching from. Go and join the group, the True Akida of the Salaf. We also have a sisters group called Our Souls Desire Islam, ran by my wife and some friends of mine. It's an all ladies group, and they're pretty much doing a female focused version of what we do here. Alhamdulillah. So join that group. It's called Our Souls Desire Islam. They actually learning about the four imams right now, who are the leaders of the Salah. And they have a bunch of other events. They also just launched a podcast. They did well, and I appreciate everybody that came out and supported their podcast. It is creeping up on 1,000 views right now. So if y'all haven't already seen that podcast, go to Our Souls Desire Islam. I don't know what the YouTube link is. They just made it. YouTube just did. So I don't have it. Maybe Nala put it in the comments, inshallah, what the YouTube link is. Go just give it a 1-second view of Salam Alaikum so they can get that view, run it up for our sisters, especially our African American sisters, making an effort at podcasting and, giving an Islamic spin from our point of view. Our point of view is not there. Our voice is really not at the conversation at the table. It's not our voices are not in the conversation at the table, so to speak. So y'all go and support that. I mean, they having good topics, and I don't know how long everybody's been following, but they've all been on here before, and we talk about controversial things, we talk about knowledgeable things, we talk about things we feel like the ummah should be, where they should be, and what we should be doing, what we need to do. Let's try to get some things going, what we want to do. We try and put in some work. So y'all go and support that. Get that thing to 1,000 views. Support. Go tap on the video. Give it a 1-second view or count to 3. Say salam alaikum and hit the share button. It ain't gonna hurt you. It's gonna help you. You hit the share button on these types of videos. Any benefit that anybody get is going to go in your account because you hit the share button. Allah Ta'ala is going to reward you on the day of judgment because you supported it. The spreading of ilm and the spreading of knowledge. So don't be a hater. Support, y'all. Support, inshallah ta'ala. That support feels good to us when we get a good response. Love Talks Live always gets a good response. They always get 6 or 7 or 8, 900 views. That shows that we're giving the proper content to the people, and we're talking about relevant things. And I don't like to do the stuff where we just kind of reading out of a book, and it's like you should fast every Monday and Thursday, and then you should go to Jum'ah, and everybody should be making their 5 daily salat. Like, we know that. I like to break stuff down and really give it meaning. They really give the ibadah meaning, inshallah ta'ala. So y'all like this, share this, subscribe. I thank everybody for tuning in. We'll see y'all Wednesday night, inshallah. Oh, I forgot, we have the Arabic classes as well. Y'all, if you haven't already joined it, you are 1 week behind. My great friend Imam Nadir, Abdullah is teaching it. He's teaching the Ajrumiyya, and it's doing very well. I'm surprised a lot of people have been tuning in. That alone is getting 5, 6, 700 views itself, learning the Arabic. So everybody claiming they want to be knowledgeable and claiming they want to be students of knowledge and want to learn, the religion according to the way of the Salaf, you got to go get that Arabic. You have to. There's no way around it. Even those books that I'm quoting from, those books are not even translated. They're in Arabic. We just have pamphlets and statements put in other books by our scholars or whatnot. But those books are not even translated yet. So if you really want to learn Islam appropriately, you got to get that Arabic down pack, inshallah ta'ala. That Imam Nadir is teaching his Arabic class Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings at 9 o'clock Eastern. He didn't do it today, but he's doing it tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. He had to make up for it today, but the schedule is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. All right, I love y'all for the sake of Allah. See y'all Wednesday. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله ولا إله إلا الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.